Hi, Pat.
Remember, we're gonna start at 3:30.
Yeah.
Have some music in the meanwhile so they get it set up.
Hey, Mika.
Grace, did you have a good summer?
I did. I'm gonna be unabashedly show off my new assistant. Who's
Very
listening to a video of birds right now.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Peter.
Hello, Eddie.
Hi, Jerry. Jerry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Whose music is playing?
You did, yeah, I think. And
Beautiful.
We will start as usual at 3:30. We will start in 3 minutes. Okay, everyone. Welcome to the September 14th meeting of Faculty Council. Martha, would you please take over admitting people so that I can concentrate on the meeting? You're a co-host, so you can admit people. Thank you. I would have, of course, liked to have met you all in person today, but it was not to be. I also, before we begin, want to apologize to Tim Shortell, who sent me a selection of his favorite music a little bit earlier today, but I did not have a chance to download it in time for this meeting. Hopefully for next meeting, we will listen to his music as well. Okay, so I'm calling the meeting to order. Attendance is being taken by the poll. Please sign in. Everyone should be signing in, even if you are not a voting member. We do have apparently a quorum. All of these quorums will have to be checked later on to make sure that of the currently 81 people who are here, or 82 people, that they are actually voting members. That's the way it should be. Okay. As you may know, the previous governor, in his infinite wisdom, canceled his executive order allowing us to have remote meetings. Thankfully, the new governor reinstated the executive order so that we can have a meeting which is by remote, okay, but it has to be both it's got to be streamed and recorded, which is what we are currently doing. I do not know who is behind the scenes, but it needs to be turned on, the streaming, which does not appear to be done right now. So someone please stream this meeting. I have no idea how to do this. Okay, Kathy, if you're on, please call ITS and get them to stream this meeting. Right now, I'm not sure how legal we are, but we are recording it. So I guess maybe we'll post it after the fact if we can't get streaming turned on. Okay. So we're going to have this meeting by Zoom today. As you can tell, it's being recorded. I am not monitoring the chat, and the chat is not part of the official record. So if you wish to speak, please raise your hand. You know how you can do that. Okay, on the bottom of your screen, it says reactions. Under reactions, there is raise your hand. And if you raise your hand, I should see it on my screen and I will call upon you. So again, whatever happens in chat, I don't know about it. The first item on the agenda should have been the minutes of the current meeting. They are not ready in time. We will have the minutes of the May 11th meeting in October. Okay, the first item then is going to be the steering committee. The steering committee has one item on its agenda, which is to find an alternate for Professor Schiller for purposes of the BC Auxiliary Enterprise Corporation. Okay. Are there any nominations or volunteers? Okay, it only meets 3 times a year, early fall, midwinter, and late spring. And we just need an alternate. So the alternate may not even end up meeting. So you can do the college a big service if you decide to volunteer. Does anyone volunteer? Professor Axon, thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to volunteer? Quickly, hearing none. Okay, we will cast a single vote for Professor Axon and we will forward her name to the president. Thank you so much. Okay, now before we move on to the communications of the administration, the president has a lot she would like to say. Some of this involves bringing in people into the meeting who, for reasons of law, we cannot bring into our recorded meeting. So the president has asked that she is going to be as brief as she can right now. And she's asking people to hold your questions as much as possible. And as you all have received an email, or should have received an email, that at 5 o'clock, we will shut this meeting down and open up another Zoom meeting in which we will allow in all the people who the president needs to invite, Alan Gilbert wants to invite, where there'll be a full opportunity for an hour, 2 hours to ask as many questions as you want. So I will ask the president to speak now. And please hold, I'm asking both the president and her request, okay, to keep it as minimal as possible, and asking the questions as much as you can to hold it for later. Okay, President Anderson, are you here?
Thank you so much, Yadidja. I am. It's great to see everyone here. And this live meeting after this meeting will focus on sort of the nitty-gritty details of campus reentry. And I hope you've all been sent that Zoom information. For my remarks, some of this will repeat from CAP last week, so I apologize to my colleagues in CAP. I want to mention that there's new political leadership. We have a new governor. We're very close to Governor Hochul. We have high hopes that we can lobby her team and her successor's team strongly to achieve better financial future for CUNY. That includes the maintenance of efforts of all mandatory cost increases as part of our annual budget, which SUNY has gotten as long as I've been here, but CUNY has not. Reinvestment of funding that we lost over the last 5 years, additional strategic investments to hire more staff and more faculty, which have been curtailed of late, and much more. We also have a new mayor of the city coming in. It is likely to be Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. We're very close to Eric Adams, and we will work hard to garner investments from the city to enhance our financial picture. He's been very generous to us in the past with capital commitments, particularly in his role as Brooklyn Borough President. We hope to continue that and lobby strongly for more. We have a new city council coming. We're cultivating the likely new city council members as we approach the election. So we have a new political leadership and a new political landscape. So there's reason to be optimistic about our financial future. I want to pause for a moment on our leadership as you all are elected members of the faculty and are leaders of the faculty. We've talked a lot about physical health and mental health through the pandemic, but we also need to think about being the guardians of the emotional well-being of the faculty and the campus. We set an example to others, and people look to us to identify cues for how they should act. Unfortunately, I think, as you all know by now, this semester will continue to be filled with uncertainty and frequent change. It will be a highly stressful situation for all of us, and we need to learn to lead with flexibility and work to remain calm and kind no matter what. I would ask that you please pay attention to how you discuss this inevitable change that is on our doorstep at all times. When things hurt, are you catastrophizing, or are you saying, look, this is rough, but we can get through this together? I also want to mention that unkindness and rudeness, which I've heard some about before this meeting, these two things are not appropriate. Studies indicate that rudeness makes everyone uncomfortable, whether they're the target of the rudeness or they are a bystander. Unkindness can also lower job satisfaction, increase anxiety and stress, and exacerbate health issues. None of us needs that at this time, especially right now. We want to engage with everyone with compassion, and despite the challenging situations and the high stress that we face this semester. So I ask you to please assume the goodwill of others, be kind, and act in ways that you wish others to emulate. We're in an unusual place in terms of reentry because primarily there are a lot of unusual things about it, to be sure. But one of the things I want to mention here is that the faculty disagree about some fundamental questions. On the one hand, some faculty want us to teach online and want the campus to be closed. They argue that the Delta variant is surging. People are scared for their safety. We can all do our jobs remotely, and there's no reason to return to campus and risk the safety of our community. However, on the other hand, other faculty want to teach and to conduct their research on campus and in person. They argue, look, all of New York City and New York State remains open. All of the New York City DOE schools are now open. It's crazy that we, as a city and state agency, are not fully open as well, serving our students as we always have with face-to-face instruction. So I've articulated these two positions that we hear frequently faculty articulate. This fundamental disagreement from faculty leads to a divergent expressions of concern. When we authorized and allowed some fall classes to be taught in person, we received outraged emails from faculty who wanted all teaching to be online. When we moved certain in-person classes recently online for safety reasons, we received outraged emails from faculty who believe that in-person teaching is the only way they can teach their classes. We're trying to walk a middle path, having the campus be as open as possible safely, as open as we can safely. We're working to decrease density wherever we can on campus, impose reasonable rules for safety, and abide by the mandates that are given to us and imposed upon us from CUNY and the state. My number one goal is a healthy campus. We need a safe community, and vaccination is the quickest way to get to one. I encourage everyone here to be vaccinated and to encourage everyone else to be vaccinated. Vaccines are safe and effective, and we have a social responsibility to get them to protect the vulnerable, the most vulnerable members of our community. We are moving toward 100% student vaccination at this time. As of this morning, we verified 8,139 students and 1,418 employees as fully vaccinated. We have a ways to go, so we need your help to step this up. Per CUNY's mandate, next week, all students taking in-person and hybrid classes must be vaccinated. Even if the hybrid designation for a class is just for the final in person, the student must be vaccinated by September 23rd. We will have a vaccine van on Campus Road from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. all of next week, and folks who are vaccinated there, who get their first shot there, will receive a $100 gift card. CUNY Central is serious about the deadline for full vaccination for students. If they are unvaccinated, students face administrative withdrawal from all in-person and hybrid classes, and they may lose financial aid as a result. This is no joke. Please tell your students. I encourage you all to tell your students and your colleagues so that they understand. Moreover, the rules have changed, and CUNY now requires students who are taking a fully remote schedule to be vaccinated if they wish to come onto the campus starting October 7th. So we need to get our online students vaccinated too. There may be emergency exceptions, of course, but by October 7th, all students in the library, all students in the bathrooms, all students in the study spaces will be fully vaccinated. We will continue to enforce a 100% mask mandate. If you see folks violating the mandate, please gently ask them to mask. And if they refuse, please call campus safety. The exceptions to the mask mandate are pretty narrow. Someone who's fully vaccinated lecturing in front of a class where they can maintain social distance, someone who's fully vaccinated alone in a closed room, and someone who's fully vaccinated outside and alone. Please don't relax these rules on your own. Don't ask students to lower their masks when they talk, and stay away from one another 6 feet or more if you can, even when you're outside, because this will decrease the number of close contacts we need to inform if and when someone tests positive. We're doing everything we can to have a safe and open campus. So I want to mention something about the enrollment picture, which is a challenge right now. New first-year full-time undergrads are down 25% at Brooklyn College this cycle. That's a substantial number. New transfers are down 20%. New graduate students are up 15%, but the continuing graduate students are down 16%. The retention of our continuing students overall is down 5%, and that means overall headcount for the entire college campus of students is down 10%. Enrollment is going to be a key focus of our agenda this semester, working with chairs in CAP, working with the faculty representatives in the Master Planning Committee of Faculty Council and other faculty leadership to develop a new strategic enrollment plan, to dive deep into why our enrollments have dropped and what we can do to help and fix the problem. During last class scheduling cycle, I want to talk a little bit about planning for the spring. Faculty who were planning for the fall faced tremendous uncertainty about how to plan their classes. Messages from Central about the modality of the classes kept evolving, and that was frustrating for everyone. Faculty have asked for certainty of directive earlier in the cycle. This time around, we have some clarity. CUNY has asked that the spring schedule be planned as 70% in person and 30% online or hybrid. So that means that chairs and deans will have to work collaboratively to meet these targets with the discretion to work within those figures so that the 70-30 target is met at the school level. Of course, the percentage of in-person classes may decrease if conditions worsen substantially, but it's clear that the university intends for us to move forward back toward normalcy in terms of course modality. What this means for students is that by the spring, most students will not be able to carve out a schedule that's entirely online. By the spring, students have to be vaccinated to attend CUNY. And that's all the more reason to strongly encourage students to get vaccinated now. We all care deeply about our students. Too many are expressing deep dissatisfaction with online learning, and some of them are leaving the college because online learning feels like a shadow of what they received in person. Other students stay, but they're more unconnected to their educational experiences. Many of them are taking fewer credits because they're just not into it. So the spring schedule is going to be much more in person. And we know that in-person and face-to-face teaching is often the best way to connect intellectually and emotionally with our students. I want to end with 3 bits of great news. First, we've, over the course of the last year, despite the pandemic, we made strong progress on our strategic plan goals. We made excellent progress in our 1-year retention rate, our 4-year graduation rate, our transfer student graduation rate, our academic momentum rate, and the first-year full-time gateway math completion rate. This excellent progress helps our students. These are crucial metrics of great import to the college, and our progress was significant. So I'll talk more about that at the stated meeting of the faculty in October. Look forward to speaking with you then about it. Second, you may have just gotten news that we have a new Assistant Vice President for Facilities. Alan has just announced that Donovan Allen starts on September 27th. I personally advocated to the chancellor in the face of the VRB to get approval for this position because it is so crucial to our success as a physical plant. I'm proud of the consultative search process that involved faculty members, 2 of whom were prior chairs of the Faculty Council Campus Planning Committee. Last, I just want to mention fundraising. We ended the fiscal year 21 having raised $13.8 million, a 103% increase over the prior year. This is our best fundraising result of the past 5 years. We're also doing very well so far in this fiscal year 22. including a $4.5 million gift and bequest that we just received a couple weeks ago. Given our challenges, this is a good time to enhance fundraising, so we're very proud of this work. And we can either take questions now, or maybe Anne could give a very brief overview of a couple items, and then we can take some questions.
Provost?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Yedidia. So nice to see everyone as well, and I wish you all a great semester despite all the difficulties. Some good news. So those of you who don't know, we launched 15 faculty searches during the summer. So these are 15 permanent faculty lines. We were very excited about that. We also launched 27 sub searches for substitute faculty, which is terrific. And I'm very excited about both. I'm reading the ads, they're coming in, they're wonderful, and it's terrific. And we do have a cluster hire on racial equity. There are at least 5 or 6 lines that will address that from different disciplinary perspectives, which will help us in increasing our diversity, something very important and part of our strategic plan. Other good news. So the research office, so many of you will be very happy about this. The research office will have a pre-award person, or the person has just accepted the offer for pre-award, and I hope you're all sitting, a post-award person. So both are coming into the research office, I think by the end of this month. We're delighted about that, and delighted that the college was able to support this. It's terrific. We're also looking for a compliance director for research compliance, which we need desperately, and we have a search. So if you know anyone, please have them look at the RF website or get in touch with me. It's a search that's ongoing. So thank you all very much, and I'll conclude my remarks there.
Before I ask for questions, there are several people who have not yet indicated that they're here on the poll. Only 106 out of 113 people have. Please, everybody should vote that they are present. Do we have questions for the president? I will begin by calling upon Tim Shortell.
Thank you. I'm going to keep my video off for bandwidth reasons. Michelle, I wanted to ask you if you could clarify the report on the 70-30 split for the spring. I've raised this point in CAP. I think the instructional mode should be an academic decision made by departments. But the question I want to ask you now is, do you know if the directive from CUNY Central is no more than 70% online, right? If academic departments decide they want to come back fully, are we going to be told we're going to have to adjust that down so that, should departments, as we're putting a spring schedule together, be thinking that we can't put on our own schedule any more than 70% of our classes? Online?
Oh, that's a great question, Tim. I appreciate it. My understanding of the thrust of the directive from Central is that at least 70% need to be in person. And the rest can be online/hybrid. The reason I think that is that historically, pre-pandemic, we were 90% or more in person. And I think the thrust of CUNY's directive is to get us back toward that more normal number, although not mandating fully being back. So I would imagine that any department that wishes to come back entirely, that's something to negotiate between the chair and the dean. John?
Okay, President Dissenbaum.
Yeah, thank you. Two distinct but similar or related questions. The 70-30, does that refer to courses or sections? That is, if a particular course has 6 sections or 10 sections, does the one course or the 10 sections count toward the percentage? And then related to that, are we factoring in, or is the chancellor expecting that we factor in number of students? So there might be seminars that have, 15 students or 12 students, and there might be very large sections. And, do those 2 different course types count equally toward the 70 and 30%?
It's a great question, John, and actually a number of chairs raised also equally valid questions about how to understand the 70-30 split. I sent all of those comments from CAP to the university provost and asked for clarification. He found them really helpful, and I will put this in the queue for further clarification. He indicates that by the end of this month, they are going to issue a Q&A that will help answer some of those questions. But I appreciate that it's not clear whether or not it's courses or sections or students' bodies, right? Thanks.
Thank you. Professor Cohen?
Hi, yes, thank you. I have a question about courses, especially Pathways courses, which pre-pandemic were showing increases in the demand for online and hybrid, and also those Pathways courses in this last enrollment cycle. At the very end, it was mostly in-person classes or hybrid in-person classes that were hardest to fill, and the ones that were totally online, we even added sections at the very end and those filled immediately. So I think there's a trend among students in certain types of courses where they want them to be online. We already were going in that direction. Will we have the flexibility to continue that, as I think we do want to meet the needs of students who are coming here?
Yeah, it's really interesting, Douglas, and I think you know, across CUNY, those campuses that are more in person are doing better. There may be not correlated at all. It may simply be coincidental. And I appreciate that in different disciplines, and also at different levels, undergraduate versus graduate, there are different desires among students. I think we're going to try to be responsive within the mandates that are given to us from CUNY Central. I want to be responsive to those concerns. And a number of chairs raised the question of what about graduate programs that are sort of increasingly desirable as online opportunities. And I asked specifically the university provost if graduate courses were part of the 70-30 split. And that's one of the things that he will hopefully clarify. And I think you're right, that depending on the discipline, if you could send me, and by the way, I'll just make this as a general announcement, if anyone has questions that they would like clarified that probably I don't know right now because I'm telling you everything that I do know, feel free to send me a paragraph. Send me a quick paragraph and I can run that up the food chain before they issue their Q&A, their FAQs publicly, and hopefully we can get some of these questions answered. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Professor Banklunas?
Thanks. Wanted to check in on what the status of surveillance testing is at Brooklyn College, which is the testing of both vaccinated and unvaccinated members of the community.
So it's a great question, and we've gotten slightly different information at different times, so it's good to try to get an update. Last I have heard, and I understand that there will be testing of vaccinated and it's kind of larger population testing going forward. We don't have any details of when and how CUNY plans to roll that out, but I understand that that is still on the agenda.
Thank you. Professor Enton?
Thanks, Yadidja. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
I have a question for you about college finances, and maybe this is not the right place, and if it's 5 o'clock is the right place, you can just say so. But I just wondered if you wanted to say a word about where we stand right now. I'm used to, coming into this meeting in the fall and there being really dire straits. We've been suffering under austerity for as long as I've been at Brooklyn College. But I know things are a little bit different now. You mentioned the new governor, which I think is good news, as we know, potentially. There's also the pandemic money, which I know has been a challenge to kind of spend and use, but it's a lot of money. I assume enrollments affect the budget to the negative, right? If fewer students are enrolling, our budget goes down. But I'm just curious if you're feeling right now like this year is going to be as horrible as ever, or it's really uncertain, or actually, no, the budget looks like we could do okay this year, or something else.
It's a really good question, and it depends on what part of the budget you're sort of looking at. If I had to give an overall picture, the federal pandemic relief is going to help us for sure. It will help us for the next 2 years. We need to get our house in order in terms of enrollment. Because that does negatively affect the budget. We need to aggressively lobby in our respective ways, the new governor and the new legislature, the new mayor and city council for additional finances. But I feel optimistic about how that can go and our ability to work together toward those ends. What I also will say is that we haven't been given final budget numbers for this year yet. And when we have, I think we want to circle back, obviously, with both master planning and with this body to give kind of an overview of where we are. But you've hit the highlights, right? Enrollment is a structural problem. It's a structural challenge. The disinvestment over the last 5 years is a structural problem. That is the maintenance of effort. And you know what this language is about. I hope most people on this call understand that there have been structural deficits as a result of not funding the maintenance of effort, the contractual increases, the step increases, and all of the necessary increases of the costs of Brooklyn College and other CUNY campuses. If we can reverse that at the legislative level, I think we're in a different ballgame. And if we can pay serious attention to our enrollment challenges, we're in a different ballgame. So I actually feel pretty optimistic.
Thank you. Good to hear.
Thank you. President Sabongi, I apologize if I mispronounced your name.
That was actually really good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just a quick question. There's anecdotal information going around that we can't outright ask the students if they are in fact vaccinated. In the theater department, we have a lot of in-person classes. Some people have medical or religious exemptions, and we're trying to figure out if we can ask them straight out, are you vaccinated or not?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it comes up in a lot of different circumstances. We're not allowed to ask directly, are you vaccinated? And you may know that we are surveying the percentage of vaccinated students, given the classroom space that each class has. We had to move a number of classes into an online modality that were slated for in-person instruction. In the arts, in the sciences, hit hardest by those directives. What I can say is that you have complete authority to encourage your students to get vaccinated, and I would ask you to do so. Again, we've got a vaccine van here next week. If a class is still not meeting in person, the only reason a class would not be meeting in person if it were designed to be in person and labeled as an in-person class is that the students aren't verified as vaccinated in CUNY First. So that's what's holding you back. And hopefully we can get our students vaccinated next week.
Thank you. Professor Suzuki, I saw you had a hand up before. Did you put your hand down? Okay. Are there any more questions for the president? I think let's hold them until the 5 o'clock meeting.
Yeah, I will be there. Alan will be there. We'll have Carrie. We'll have lots of other people on the staff who can talk about reentry. And if you have specific questions about that or questions about anything else, we are open to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One more person hasn't yet signed in, so 112, 113, we're doing pretty well. I call upon Professor Levy, Committee on Committees.
Welcome, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good semester. Let me just say that I think Professor Langsam can share the slate.
You want me to do that?
If you can. We have 4 positions for you to vote on, and we have 2 vacancies. So I could start with the vacancies and see.
Give me a second and I'll share it.
While Professor Langsam's doing that, let me thank the committee, which has done amazing work. I know in many cases they've tormented some of you, but hopefully we've done it for the good of the college, and many of you have answered the call, so we thank you all. And so the members of the committee are Jillian Kavanaugh, Jennifer Cherrier, Ken Esty, Nemelinda Florence, and Yehuda Klein. So thanks again. Without them, we could not have done this. So if you scroll down, The first one, yep, stop there. We have Carol Connell, who's agreed to serve on undergraduate curriculum. And faculty, we have, oh, sorry, you have the old one, which is fine. We have Helen Phillips, who has agreed to serve from the library on faculty student disciplinary. So she just said yes, so that is no longer vacant. If you can go down some more. Stop there. On graduate admissions and standards, Rebecca Boger has agreed to serve, thanks. And we have, as you can see, 2 vacancies. One is chair of honorary degrees, and we have a position on master planning that's still vacant. So, and then we have one more person, if you go down, that one position we've been able to fill, and that is, stop right there, Jocelyn Wills, as chair of student advisement. So 2 more and we have a full slate. Oh, sorry. My mistake. Yes, I said library. Helen Phillips in English. Thank you, Ellen. My apologies to everyone. We have a volunteer in the chat. David Grubbs is willing to serve as chair of honorary degrees. Do we have a second?
Someone unmute yourself and second.
Second.
I second.
Second.
Thank you. Excellent. One more, I believe, right?
Yes, and that's master planning. If you want to scroll back so people could see who's currently on it.
This is supposed to be a
Right there at the bottom, right.
very, very important committee.
Yes.
Okay, so
And we currently have 1 person from every school. So the 6th person can be from any school.
Professor Suzuki raised his hand.
I'd be happy to serve on the committee if that's
Wonderful.
there are 2 mouth people on the committee and
Wonderful. Do we have a second?
I second, Jeff.
Excellent. Are there any other nominations for anyone on this list? This is really pleasing that we've been able to do this and complete the slate. Sharona, don't go away. You have one more thing.
I know that. I'm not going anywhere. I just thank you for the people volunteering to do this.
Okay, let me go through procedure. I will ask for nominations 3 more times. Are there any more nominations? Are there any more nominations? Are there any more nominations? Hearing none, I will direct the secretary, who's around somewhere, to cast a single vote for the slate. We have a slate. Thank you so much, and thank you all members. First of all, thank Sharona and her committee, and thank all the members who actually do the work. Okay, it's not faculty council, me and steering. It's your committee that do the work, and we claim that this college is run by faculty. This is the proof. So thank you very much. Okay, Sharona, you have one more.
I do have one more, and that is the College Reentry Review Board, which has 3 members from the faculty serving on there. 2 of them are the current and former chair of campus planning, Dorothy DeToro and Ryan Morelli. So we've had someone from master planning serve there. I haven't heard back. I've heard back from everyone except Stephen Preston, and now I guess Jeff Suzuki. It does meet on Tuesdays from 9 to 10 or 10:30 weekly. So I guess the question is whether someone else from master planning is willing to serve. And if not, then we'll have to open that one up as well.
I'm willing to serve. I'm sorry for not replying earlier.
Oh,
wonderful.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. Provost Lopes, you have your answer. You have a member. Thank you so much. Excellent.
Thank you all again for all you do for the service for this college and the faculty and the students especially.
Okay, we now move to liaison with the University Faculty Senate, Professor Cohen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very brief. On May 11th, the last UFS meeting of the year largely dealt with the election of the executive committee members at large. And I'm glad to say that one of the members voted on was Professor Okome. So congratulations to Professor Okome. Afterwards, there were some remarks largely about CUNY's reopening plans and apparent lack of coordination system-wide, and then also about the budget. Over the summer, there were more questions about the budget. Information came out as the state and city budgets were finalized, and there was a meeting in July about the budget. Unfortunately, I did not make that and didn't notice it until afterwards. So if anyone else has a report on that, I do have a lot of the documentation that went into that, and it seems that they were somewhat optimistic as far as where things stood. And of course, that was even before the change in governor. So let's hope it continues further. So any other comments, or if anyone has anything they want to bring up that attended those meetings?
Are there any questions, Professor Cohen? Thank you very much for being liaison. Okay, we now move to the degree lists. There are 3 of them. There's the one over the summer, 2113, which was approved by executive committee. And then there are degree lists 22-1 and 22-2. You were sent by the link. Professor Stasienko, do you have anything to report on these lists?
As far as I'm aware, all are in good order.
Thank you so much. Does anyone on Faculty Council have any comments or anyone they would like to remove from these lists for cause? And for the newer members on Faculty Council, it has happened in the past that Faculty Council has removed people from this list, although it doesn't happen very, very often. Are there anyone, again, who wants to remove someone from the list? Okay, hearing none. Instead of reading the, I guess I should read the official language. The registrar office satisfies that all students on these 3 lists have met all the requirements for graduation and were eligible for their respective degrees as of the dates indicated. Resolved that the Faculty Council of Brooklyn College recommend that the Board of Trustees of the City University of New York grant to the students named on degree lists 21/13, 22/1, 22/2, the degrees indicated. Are there any opposition votes? Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, we will move that this has been passed by acclamation. Thank you very much. Okay, we now move to a series of reports of standing committees. You remember our practices. We will ask the chair whether they have anything to add. We'll ask the members of council if they have any questions to ask. None of these committee reports have any action items. So at the end of each question session, I will simply, on behalf of the council, accept the reports with grateful for the amount of work. So Committee on Academic Integrity, Professor Ozaldi, do you have anything to add to your report?
I have nothing to add. I just want to thank last year's committee members, Professor Pat Antoniello, David Arno, Miriam Lefkowitz, and MJ Robinson. And I wish the new chair, Pat Antoniello, all the best. This has been a wonderful committee to chair for the last 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Hearing none, we gratefully accept your report. Please thank your committee for all the work they've done on the behalf of the college. We now move to the Committee on General Education. Professor Lauterbach, do you have anything to add to your report? Are you here?
Nothing to add, but just a thank you to the committee and best wishes to next year's committee.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions, Professor Lauterbach? Hearing none, Faculty Council gratefully accepts your report. Please thank your committee for all the work that they've done. Okay, The Committee on Master Planning is presenting two items. Master Planning, Education Planning. Professor Kobrak, first present your annual report. Questions? Anything to add to your report?
Nothing to add to the report.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for the Master Planning's annual report? And then we move to the Brooklyn College Manual for preparing new academic programs. Remember that all new academic programs have to be approved by Master Planning before they can be sent on. The past document, the manual was very, very outdated. And I asked Professor Kobrak and his committee to prepare a new manual. This does not get voted on. We are just simply going to accept it. And does anyone have any questions for Professor Kobrak on either of these two items, the annual report or the manual? Hearing none. Okay.
Sorry, I'd just like to jump in and say that I want to thank the members of the committee for completing this updated manual over the summer. There was yeoman duty on that part. And so thanks
Indeed,
all members.
indeed. And I put a lot of pressure on you and your committee, and I very much appreciate there are several committees. There are several interdisciplinary programs that are holding their breath and waiting for this document so they can now submit their new degrees to Master Planning. So thank you very much. We will post the manual at the appropriate location. And we thank your committee for both your report and for producing the manual. Thank you. We now move to the Committee on Student Advisement. Professor Jensen Moulton, and your report. Do you have anything to add to your report?
I do not have anything to add, but I thank the members of the committee for their work. And I thank Professor Wills for standing up as chair next year.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions, Professor Jensen? Hearing none, Faculty Council gratefully appreciates all the work that your committee has done, and we look forward to next year's work. Okay, that concludes the agenda items. There's no old business as far as I know. Does anyone have any old business that needs to be completed? There is any new business? Well, then, since there's no new business, this meeting went swimmingly well. I will need to do two things. First, I'm going to need to ask ITS for legal reasons to take this recording and post it on YouTube because we have not streamed. Unfortunately, Andre is not here, and I have no idea how to set up the streaming. So we recorded, but we haven't streamed. We're going to adjourn now, and we will return at 5 o'clock to a different Zoom link, which you all have received or should have received in your emails. Okay, and in which case the president will take over that meeting. That one will not be recorded and not be posted, and you'll be able to have a very frank conversation. Professor Charrier?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Who was the link sent from? Because I'm not seeing it. Did it
what?
come from Zunera?
I think it probably did come from Zunera.
It came
Okay.
from Zunera.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Alan, is there any way we could start that meeting right now? Because
Well-
mostly it's your team who is.
Yes, Alan, that's the question. Is your team ready? We can start.
Then Janera, do you want to take half of them and I'll take half of them?
Zunera's not on the call.
Okay,
He's not allowed on the call.
Okay, let me see. Why don't we go to that meeting and I'll get to who I can and the rest will join later.
I will tell Zunera to open that call and we'll
Okay.
try to pull people in and we'll try to get going shortly. Okay?
I'll get as many as possible, but I could answer probably 95% of their questions anyway.
Thanks, everyone.
And then some. Okay.
So I'm going to end this meeting and everyone else is going to log on to that new meeting immediately afterwards. Thank you all.